because my goal was never to create an unsafe environment for her. I wanted her to have a really good time, which is why I really fought to get her there. So I want to make that evident, one. I should have let you speak on it. I didn't, because I wanted to focus on Medicaid and food assistance. That, and I mean that genuinely, because as I started to kind of get an understanding of what was going on, I should have called you and I should have said, hey, let's talk about this. In part, I decided not to, and I decided just to cut myself out of the equation altogether, because I saw that you had a live stream with a couple other streamers, and I know that you folks were really unhappy with me, and I felt as though if I stepped up and showed my face, that would only inflame more division between myself in any way, shape, or form. So I kind of just cut myself out of it altogether, which again was definitely not the right way to go about it, because that created more of an issue and a lack of transparency, which is my fault.
One says, Sam, how the hell did you get a flag? Dude, TikTok
It's
sucks.
okay me. I don't know.
Are you okay with remaining up here on this account, or do you want to switch accounts? If so,
My other account's banned too. They don't like black people, which seems to be an ongoing theme. But anyway.
I want you to stay up here for as long as you want. And I mean, even after you're done talking to Danny, Johnny,
Oh.
as soon as you're done talking to Johnny,
Unlocked.
as soon as you're done talking, sorry, I'm
You're good.
as soon as you're done talking to Johnny, I'd like to maybe have a little bit of a further conversation with you. But go ahead, you guys.
Okay. Ray's texting me right now. Ray told me she sent you the live in question.
Mm-hmm. I got more information afterwards, and as I learned this information, I should have connected with you too. I decided not to. And I also spoke to Ray, and I explained that you and Ray and anybody else who felt a certain way about the situation has the right to express their feelings and their thoughts and their concerns, and that it's my job to do some good here. That's my mission. My belief is that we're put on this planet to uplift one another and others, which is why I attempt to cut myself out of these situations. But I think, again, that doesn't always serve me well, and this is a prime example of how it didn't. I should have connected with you. I should have let you speak on the matter. And I shouldn't have been so focused on, well, let's talk about these issues. Let's talk about Medicaid. Let's talk about Medicare. When this was critically important, and it would have helped me, and especially Mermaid, in the long run. Because again, if I knew this was happening at that time beforehand, and I really understood the entire extent of what was happening, I probably would have just said, Mermaid, Johnny, we're not going to do this. Let's take a step back. But I didn't do that. I was also well aware that a lot of us were going with the intent on meeting young voters. And so a lot of folks weren't connecting behind the scenes on this information, just in part because we were so focused on, well, here's what we're going to create there. Here's what videos we're going to make here. Who's here? This is what we're going to talk to and who we're going to talk with. And we had conversations about who we're going to debate and what kind of issues we want to talk about. My issue I wanted to talk about was food assistance. So we spent more time on that. And I think that, again, this is an example of why trying to cut myself out of an equation doesn't serve me well. It didn't here.
Okay. I have to ask, because I feel like a lot of the time people just think racism is saying slurs and stereotyping. But do you acknowledge that when a person of color says the word racism and they're immediately cut off, that that's racist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I also want to make clear here, my intent was never to cut you off in the manner to stop you from speaking on this issue. It was that I didn't know what the issue was. And so I wanted to talk about the issue that was already being discussed at hand. I shouldn't have done that. I should have given you the opportunity to speak more on the subject. And I am sincerely sorry for that. And I hope you know I mean that. This is a good learning opportunity for me, in the sense that, one, instead of trying to cut myself out of an equation, I shouldn't do that again. And two, I need to ensure that to properly offer transparency, because overall this situation like across the board with the tour, lacked it. I need to be doing my part. That part, especially in that moment, was to let you speak. I didn't do that.
Okay. All right. Well, that aside, whether or not I accept that apology, I don't know. I doubt that we're ever going to speak again. So.
Sure. Well, I want to add here. I think it's also critically important that communicating on this going forward is at the forefront of the actions we're taking. Because a lot of this could have been were from Ray. And Ray had explained that you folks were expressing your beliefs and your emotions over the situation. But I really wish we had a one-on-one discussion. I think it's important to just express that we could really communicate in a transparent way to offer more, I suppose, well, I guess to ensure that there's not an argument or a fight. Again, because my mission here is to do good. I just don't want to be creating stress for anybody else. I think there were a lot of live streams that have been held about other people. I know, for example, you were on a live stream with Julie and a live stream with, or Tashika and a live stream with Ray. And I've heard a lot of the things that have been said about me and a lot of accusations said about me and a lot of rhetoric said about me. And I'm trying to take a step back, not to step into that in order to, one, keep myself away from any issues, because again, I'm just trying to do some good here. And two, I think that all of that really could just be avoided if we continue conversing through proper dialogues and conversations and one-on-one in a transparent manner. And I mean that sincerely.
Okay. I think a one-on-one conversation would have been great. I completely agree. But Julie said that she texted you twice. And Ray said that she texted you, and then the last person to speak in that text conversation is her.
Ray and I had a conversation back and forth in regards to that situation. As far as Julie, I have not spoken to Julie in well over weeks before that. There was information that did I just freeze? Never mind. There was information that I had received. And again, I tried to take a step back. And again, I mean this so sincerely and genuinely. I heard information. To everybody tuning in, please know I mean this sincerely. I heard rhetoric that was spoken by Julie that I don't support. And so I chose to, again, take a step back from any drama because I attempt to not put myself first in those situations. And my goal here is just to deliver some good. If I'm doing that, then I'm doing my mission. I took a step back and decided no longer to speak to her. This is like not the one-on-one conversation I was looking for. It feels like, I don't know. This is, again, like I'm not trying to sound like a victim. That's not what I feel like. I'm putting myself first again. This is what I wanted to avoid.
I think we're past a one-on-one conversation realistically. To be frank, I have very few like absolute no's when it comes to friendship. My boundaries are bigotry and lying to me. And you tap danced on the first one. So I don't want to have a one-on-one conversation. And if it were to be a one-on-one conversation, it would have to be recorded.
Sure. So, and I understand that, and I'm happy to have that conversation. Doing the most good for others, as I think the most productive way is to ensure we're working together as we have one shared mission. We do all come from different backgrounds and different stances and values. And we're all learning on this in a manner that while, yes, we're online and there's expectations as online digital personalities or influencers, we're also people who have the shared mission of doing some good for the community around us, whether that's investing in, as said, Medicare food assistance or ensuring that we're fighting for a woman's right to choose. That's where our focus ought to be. And that's what we ought to want to work to deliver on. If that's, being impeded on by matters like this, then we should work in a way to resolve them. That we ought to ensure that folks are being uplifted who are involved in the equation. I've seen folks speak in poor rhetoric involving me, involving Mermaid, involving Dan, involving Santana. People bullying each other, mocking each other, harassing each other. This isn't the way to communicate. Doing live streams where we entertain in front of others and perpetuate this and drag other folks into it. Sure, you need to express these situations because public opinion is important and it makes a movement and it gets work done. But we need to do this in a way where we're not mocking others, where we're not belittling others, where we're not putting others down. Because I've seen a lot of the rhetoric being used and it's so disheartening. And I assume that we all have a shared stance that there's no place in this mission for harassment or bullying.
Okay. Dean, a question. In the event that Z does not have like accountability for her racism, sorry, I'm outside.
No, go for it. I mean, even though there's a little background noise, we could still hear you.
In the event that Z does not apologize for her racism, and considering people have called her out on her account and they said, she said something along the lines of, this is why, if you don't know this question, like to answer this question, that's fine. I don't expect you to. What's going to happen with the tour?
Oh, yeah. No, well, we've already determined this. So we've already stepped away from Z. I mean, so earlier we met with all the creators, and the conclusion is either she steps down, she's no longer the organizer, she's no longer involved with the pack, or we move on from the pack. That's it. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a simple answer, and that's the unanimous consensus that we've seen. And yeah, that's what I came on live today to share. And I also really appreciate you for popping up here and having a conversation with me. Johnny, is there anything else that you want to add on specifically?
Yeah, I think last part is just it's important to understand here that the creators who are involved are people. I'm a person. Dean's a person. We are people. Mermaid's a person. Santana's a person. Sam's a person. We are all people. So the way that we really ought to deal with these situations is with more transparency, accountability, speaking through communicative manners that offer real dialogue. And we do so in a way that doesn't mock or harass one another. And we do so in a way that creates more of a educating environment. Because again, there were a lot of lack of transparency in some situations. There were lies, outright blatant lies, and a lot of moving pieces, and not a great communicative structure for like how folks were learning about these situations. I don't know. I take it as what it is, folks who are listening in, or don't. Some folks get entertainment out of this, but for a lot of folks, these are parents. These are folks who have 9-to-5s just like you. These are folks who are just trying to do some good in their community. And there's situations like this along the way, which is a learning opportunity for so many. Please treat it as what it is. Let us learn from this. Let all of us learn from this on the tour. And please, 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 please don't mock or belittle these people or send hate in the way of somebody. Like, try to educate here. Try to educate.
I think that we're people, that's true, but I also think that, like the black women who are affected by, like the racist microaggressions used are black people. And then even in a larger conversation of, racism used against black women in America today on a whole are people. And I mean, that's why these conversations are important. That's why I need to do better. But Johnny, I guess I'm gonna go back just to talking to Sam. Thanks for coming
thank you
up
for
and
having me
addressing
up.
some of the things that she had to say.
Okay. I guess that was the last thing I wanted to say aside from this, and you can do what you want with your platform. But considering he's the only person until today that has done anything to support the black women that microaggressed and just straight up aggressed, that were microaggressed or aggressed toward by Z. And also, speaking of, when one of said women, Emma, tried to talk about her experience in one of the comments of Mermaid's videos, Chris actively told her that, quote, the burden of proof is on her to prove that Z was racist, even though there are already clips and whatnot circulating. That was fucked up, Chris. Anyway, before I leave,
Really?
go to Mermaid's page. You're gonna see on her page, she posted her debating someone while she was on the tour. Go down into the bottom of the comments. There's going to be a comment thread with like 30 comments in it. Emma, that she has to prove that Z was racist to her. So.
That's fucking
Oh no, I'm sorry.
insane.
It might be on Dan's, either on Dan's or Mermaid's. But yeah, Chris, that was fucked up. Anyway, I say this to say, if you don't want to do this, that's up to you. But I would really appreciate it if Peyton was able to come.
Yeah. Here, I'll talk to Peyton for a little bit. I think that, you know, like two things can be true at once. I do think that Peyton did a lot of good by specifically like calling out like the microaggressions that Z had used against the black women on the panel. However, it's also the case that we could have dialogue about the reservations I hold against him, and you know the positions that he holds as well. Maybe that's important.
You said like discuss him?
No, discuss them. Like, you know, whatever he wants to talk about, as well as like the reservations that I have with him as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, Sam, is there anything else that you want to go over?
No, just that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Sam. I hope that you have a good rest of your day. And on a serious note, just before you leave here real quick, I don't know if like you or other people watching have been able to tell. This has made me uncomfortable, but I think that's a good thing. In fact, no, fuck, I know that's a good thing. I think that white people need to be uncomfortable a little bit more often. So,
Yeah, completely agreed. In fact, if we're talking about racism, if a conversation is not making white people uncomfortable, it's not a good conversation.
yeah, that's right. Well, hey, Sam, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, chat. Yeah, what do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to bring up Peyton for a little bit? Maybe